remember those statements she was making, like, oh, we need to turn down the temperature, and I think that was on immunity or one of those other decisions. These comments that she's making, and then of course that clip of her from President's address the other night where she's mean mugging him. She's just straight mean mugging President Trump as he walks by there. And I think a lot of people have to look at, I mean, so Mike, walk me through this. Let's say, we can't change it. We can't go back on this one. But what we can do is learn from the situation and then also make corrections for the future should, by the way, I don't know, Stephen Breyer step down or something like that, or potentially Thomas, who has talked about retiring. President Trump easily could have another pick that comes up during his tenure. Who were the conduits that were really most pushing of Amy Coney Barrett? Because when you look out across the conservative legal movement, I mean, someone has to actually nominate these people. How do you get to the short list? How does that process take place?
Well, they made the mistake the last time of only wanting to pick a woman because Ruth Bader Ginsburg died and, they had to have a woman. Well, there aren't a lot of, here's the bottom line. Here's the dirty secret. There aren't a lot of women who could be judicial nominees because in order to be a judicial nominee, you typically are a litigator in a law firm for at least a dozen years, or you're a prosecutor for at least a dozen years. Under the ABA standards, you have to be a lawyer for at least a dozen years. We don't follow that on the Republican side, but that's just gives you a ballpark. So if you're not, how many women go into litigation? It's a small percentage, and then how many of those women actually stick around for 12 years? So it's a very small percentage, and then how many of those women who make it to law firm partners are conservative women, which it's just like you're looking for the needle in the haystack. There are a lot of good conservative women out there. There are a lot of good conservative minorities out there. They're actually my favorite people because conservative women and minorities tend to be the most bold and fearless because they have to take so much crap from the left, like Justice Clarence Thomas being called Uncle Tom his whole life because he escaped the Democrat plantation, or a Justice or Judge Eileen Cannon getting criticized down in Florida because she escaped the Democrat kitchen. So I do like conservative women and minorities, but we can't pick them because they're a conservative or minority. We have to pick them based upon merit because they're the best pick. And I don't think Amy Coney Barrett was the best pick.
And so when we're going forward, so when we go forward, so let's play out the hypothetical. There's an opening, right? We're not going to say who it is, but there's an opening. Although of course that does occasionally color the choice. What should President Trump, the Department of Justice, the White House, what are things they should be looking for when it comes to a judicial nominee? Because I remember a lot of people saying, "Oh, she's going to be another Alito, or was it Scalia? Excuse me, another Scalia. Another Scalia. She clerked for Scalia. She's in the mold of Scalia. Scalia. I heard it over and over and over and over. And I've seen the ruling. She ain't no Scalia."
Yeah, I think she got rattled by the protest outside of her home during the Dobbs decision, and that's unfortunate. But that was the intended effects by President Biden and Attorney General Merrick Garland. And now I think she's rattled, and she's trying to reel it in to protect her kids. And that's unfortunate that she has to do that. But if she can't follow the law, then maybe she should go back to Notre Dame Law School, right? Because your job as a Supreme Court justice is to boldly and fearlessly follow the law. And if there's a reason you can't do that, if you're compromised in any way, you need to step down and let someone else do the job. I'll say this, President Trump talked about relying on people like Leonard Leo in the Federal Society in his first term. That's not going to happen in his first term. He's going to rely on people like Mike Davis, me, and the Article 3 Project. And we're going to pick even more bold and fearless judges this time. People who are not Ivy League wimps, but people who are going to boldly and fearlessly follow the law. People in the mold of Judge Eileen Cannon down in Florida.
So whoa, Davis, are you saying that, are you making the call right now that you would put Eileen they put Eileen Cannon up there on the short list for Supreme Court nomination?
Maybe I already have. Who knows, Jack? But I would say this: I think she's one of the best, if not the best, pick by President Trump to put on the Supreme Court because she's bold, She's fearless. She's going to follow the law. We saw during the lawfare against President Trump, sometimes she ruled for him, sometimes she ruled against him. She did what a judge is supposed to do and follow the law. And she stood up to the Democrat mob who tried to threaten her in her home, and she didn't back down. Like maybe Justice Amy Coney Barrett could take a lesson from Judge Eileen Cannon about being bold and fearless and not backing down and following the law.
Well, and you look at this, right? What quote unquote repercussions has she faced? This is something that the conservative movement really needs to understand. We need to stop thinking about, oh, what's the left going to say? What's the mainstream media going to say? This is the Mike Davis school of thought. This is the Steve Bannon school of thought. This is the human event school of thought. We don't care what the mainstream media says about us. We care about getting the best person in there for the country, for the law, for justice, to actually be done. That is what we care about. We don't care what the left says. We definitely don't care what the legacy media says. And so stop letting them make decisions for you. The people of the United States elected President Trump. They elected the House. They elected the Senate. Those are the people they want making the decisions when it comes to staffing, when it comes to appointments, when it comes to the rest. And that's what you saw with President Trump's confirmations. When he put through, he said, yeah, we are going to do Pete Hegseth, and we are going to do Kash Patel and Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard. And you know what? The American people delivered a mandate, and this is what we are going to give to them. Davis, what is it about these D.C. Republicans where they're so worried about getting written up in the Washington Post?
They are the D.C. Republicans, the uniparty Republicans are cowards, and they think it's their job to manage the decay. They think they're the janitors for the Marxist left to clean up the mess. And I have a different approach. I mean, you're talking about the Jack and Mike approach. Look at I don't care. Growing up looking like this with red hair and a face for radio, I'm used to getting punched in the face, and it doesn't bother me. I actually kind of like it when I'm getting punched in the face because I'm not used to it if I'm not, right? So I'm going to be bold and fearless. I'm going to fight every day for President Trump, because I think he's going to fight every day for real Americans and real America. And he's actually doing what he promised American voters he would do, which is cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington, D.C. I know that's shocking to the D.C. Uniparty that a politician's actually going to deliver on his campaign promises. But I would say this to these judges, these activist judges who are getting in President Trump's way of exercising his core Article 2 power under the Constitution, not Article 1 legislative power. He's not stealing Article 3 judicial power. He's exercising core Article 2 executive power. These activist judges, there is going to be a tremendous political backlash if you keep doing this. You are going to lose your funding, you're going to lose your jurisdiction, and you may face impeachment. And the Article 3 project will make damn sure that happens. We're not FedSoc, we're not cucks. We take off the gloves, we fight back.